just about sailing, April 2020. Second one in the series. What I'm going to do today is to go for what I've done. I mean, most of this was done ages ago. In fact, it started prior to the lockdown, and now we're in a lockdown situation. You can notice there's normally a lot of traffic noise in the background, and you'll notice on the early clips, because we're quite close to a main road, there's a big main road, and then things are really eerily quiet, just the birds and so on. I'm very lucky in as much as Serenity is basically in my back garden, so I can get to her, and I know there's lots of people who can't get to their boats. But anyway, so we're gonna carry on, do a bit of stuff on this one. People mentioned or asked last time, very valid question, about the amount of plastic that was flying around as I was cutting things. I did actually figure out after I did the first cut that I could attach there's a vacuum attachment, and that was very good at taking the stuff up from a circular saw. And also, as you'll see in this one, I could actually attach one to the router. That wasn't quite as successful, but I did manage to hoover everything up. So anyway, without further ado, let's get on with this. Right, so the first thing to do is to take my lovely cardboard templates, and I'm going to cut a couple of reference points. The first reference part is the bit that's going to go kind of underneath, well, this underneath, and then I'm going to do these two sides here and here. I've cut another piece off after measuring it all off carefully, and I have my first piece ready and all smooth off. I'm going to cut a 45 degree all around, even though the walls are not exactly upright, but I think it's better than nothing. So yeah, I won't bore you with cutting out the rest of it, but simply cutting. This stuff is so easy to work with. And I discovered in the box, and I got this router from the middle, so I really did get this router from the middle row in Aldi. It's actually got a vacuum attachment, and bizarrely it actually fits. Right, so cleverly I managed not to get the sound on, but if you notice here, I've got the two trestles quite wide apart, and the plastic was actually dipping in the middle, which meant that the 45 degree wasn't cutting properly. Luckily I spotted this, and you can see I've moved the trestles round to a better position, and here I'm pointing and speaking, but you can't hear me because the microphone's off, saying actually this is firmer, and then I recut it. So lucky that I actually spotted that. Right, so what I've done is I've taken my cardboard template. Everything's a bit crowded in here, and I've cut the two sides, which are all slightly different, and I've clamped them up temporarily. But what I need to test now, because I had a quick measure, and I know the hole to get this in is about 42 centimetres, and that's coming out at over. That's going to be tight, but it's going to be doable. Okay, so it's worth checking that, and I need to make sure that none of it, when I clamp it up etc., none of it goes beyond 42. 41 would be better. And actually I can check it after I put the first side in. That's what I do, is I'll put the first side in, probably this one on this side, and then I'll test it. Yeah, that's what I do. Right, so I've got this clamped up with this at the correct angle, and the 45 degree, and obviously this is not at 45 degrees, but that's the two 45 degree edges are against each other. So you can see that's what it, and I've just got one of those metal clamps at the back. I've checked this, and there's no gap along there, so the first thing to do is I'm going to do a tack welder along there, and I've just got these held in with blocks at the back. So this tack welding, getting that tack welder, I think is going to make a massive difference. Right, so first off is the tack weld. I've got the tack welding bit on there, and I'm just going to do a nice slow weld all the way along. So right, taking this back down to normal speed, if you look at the bottom edge where the two meet each other, you can see it starts to flay out a little bit, or it has started to. So I hold it in to re-weld it, but I didn't hold it for long enough, something I only realised afterwards, and this was going to cause problems eventually. Right, so just a quick bit to camera, because I don't know if that came out, because one of the problems with this, it's a very bright sunny day, which is great, and I'm actually in a t-shirt. This is bright white, and in the famous words of that song that only I know, it's a bit like being blinded by the light, revved up like a deuce, you know, a runner in the night. For some reason, nobody can ever get those lyrics. Me and Lucy sing that together in the car. When I say sing, and she can remember the lyrics to every single song going, but she can't remember that one. And I've tack welded it, which worked brilliantly. This all held together. I could actually push a little bit of pressure from the outside if I needed to. I'm having a cup of tea, which is mandatory. This is not an option. You have to do bits of have a cup of tea, because I'm letting that cool down, which it more or less has. And then I'm going to do the pendulum weld for the inside bit, move the clamps to the other side, and then do 2 welds along the back. I can see that I'm going to run out of these welding sticks, and in the middle of this, the lockdown that we've got at the moment, I'm not sure whether I can actually get any more, so this might have to be a half project, but I can at least get to the end of what I want to do to get these 4 walls on, and then even fill it up with water and test. Right, I've switched the machine on, as you can probably hear. I'm going to try filming a bit of this from this side, because I'm going to go in this direction with these stick things, and I'm going to see if I can move the camera and do the rest from the other side, but as you can probably appreciate, this isn't going to be that easy to film. Right, so I don't know how you clearly can see this at all, because the light wasn't excellent, but what I'm trying to do is to direct the air right at the bit where the welding rod meets the joint, and if you get it right, you can kind of see like a bow wave, some clear plastic that sort of gets pushed in front. So I was trying to keep that clear plastic all around the joint, including at the edge of the welding rod. A lot easier to say than to do. But here comes another problem. Let's just go on a little bit. If you notice the bottom right hand where the 2 pieces of HDP are meeting, they're slowly getting further apart. And this is a bit like what I was saying before, that they weren't clamped hard enough. Now I did actually notice this at this point, and stop, and then you can see that they've come quite far apart. I stopped and reclamped things and pulled them back together, but that really wasn't strong enough. So if you're doing this yourself, or in retrospect, really clamp things up tightly, because I re-weld this, or try and re-weld it, and it still pushes apart because it just wasn't tight enough. So that's probably the biggest lesson that I learned from doing this. Look, you can see it's coming apart there already. Right, so that's it just with the tack weld on. That's pretty solid, but as you can see there is a bit of a bend in it where it's kind of stressed out as I've been welding it. I'm just going to have to live with that. That's probably me still having it too hot or going too slow, but when I went too fast, you know, there really is a skill at this, so don't try this at home without lots of experimentation and stuff, but that's pretty good. So I'm going to put another pendulum weld on the outside of this, followed by one of those ones with the funny bit of apparatus. But yeah, no, happy with that. That's when I say happy, by the way, that in my speak that means I'm surprised. I'm surprised at that. I probably don't need these clamps, but what I've done is I've put that metal shaped thing underneath just in case it wobbles about as I'm heating it. But that's actually pretty solid, much more solid than when I did that very first test piece that fell to pieces. So strength is my priority. If it's strong, even if it's slightly misshapen, that's all right. Strength and water tightness. So right, again, I'm going to try and switch this to the other side. You're going to start getting bored of this, so I won't show too much of the actual pendulum weld bit. Right, it's always the case when you're trying to save material, because I haven't got many of these things left. I just wasted that because this is very scrappy on the top here. I was thinking, I could do this before, what's gone wrong? And what it is, I hadn't noticed this. Let me see if I can show this close up. I used this tool, which is flat across the top, and previously I was using this, I think you can see the light has got a slight curve on it. So things were squishing out to the side and this was kind of sliding off to the side. So I can tidy that up. I will put another bead on there and I will do the next one properly. So yeah, who'd have thought they are very different. And that's the one that I was using before and I used the wrong one. So anyway, I'm going to go and see if this fits on the boat now. Right, so I need to make a bit of a judgment call here. To whether, oh yeah, look at that, that's going to go in with the other one. No, that's super good, so I don't have to cut anything, and that slides. Unfortunately I haven't got the wide angled camera, but you can see there that fits in there. I'm hoping actually this point being that this gap here should be about the same all the way along. So that and it is, there's about a 2-inch gap there, which we find for putting the fittings and stuff in it. So, okay, shame that I used the wrong bit and it was a bit tatty, but happy with that. Long way to go yet. Right, so there we go, I've done the other side now, and as you can see there's an inward bow on both of them. Now I could pretend that I did that and designed that deliberately so that the water pressure would be pushing out, but obviously I didn't. Now if I wanted to do this again or properly, I would actually put in some sort of structure to hold it. The other thing that I've now done is I've marked out, and I don't know how clearly you can see this because again the light is bright, A and B, which are the ends, which have just fallen off, which are exactly that shape. So I shall cut those out and then stick the ends on. Well, stick them on, I shall weld them on. Right, it's very windy. We've got this laying down, which I'll show you in a minute. Lucy is dressed in a shark outfit because we couldn't actually, apparently it's illegal to put a real shark in there and test it, so we're going to fill it up. You can fill it up, you can do all the work.
guess so.
Yeah, that was a yes. Because Lucy's bursting to get hold of that heat gun and actually make some stuff of her own, but the price she has to pay is to fill this up. So let's fill this up and see what happens. Right, so let me say, I'm expecting leaks. I'm going to go around with a felt pen and mark where it comes out from. We've got dry concrete and it actually, when it gets wet, you can really see where it is. I've propped up one side of it so that the top is roughly level. And as you can see, it's very windy. It's very windy today. I don't have bloopers, I just include everything that happens.
The whole channel is a blooper.
The whole channel is a blooper, thank you very much. God. Yeah, unfortunately we're the same household, so I can't socially isolate myself from my daughter at the moment. This is heavy. Come on then, you were confident.
I'm not confident anymore.
How much does that weigh?
23 kilograms.
23 kilograms.
I do it like completely over it.
Yeah, that's good.
Sometimes I astound even me.
Right, let's stand back and look for leaks. Yeah, there's one here.
There's one here.
Big one.
Oh, that might
That
be
was
me. You wanted something done well, then why did you hire me?
First leak. That's not bad, is it? And Lucy actually tried to make it out as if there was a leak on the other side, but that was where she had spilt the stuff. So we haven't come over this seam yet, but do you know what? That is really good.
I am doing you a favour.
I might put this out for April the 1st. Girl in shark costume, you could be like that cat on the Zumba. Don't rest it in it, you'll break it. Use your muscles. There you go. What marine biologists do during lockdown. They all dress up as fish and run around. Right, so I actually had two leaks, one on either end, and I think that really stemmed from the fact that when I was doing the welding for that bit, as you see, it was a very windy day and I've had to do a lot to try and get the wind noise off of this stuff. It's even windy today. When I was welding it, it was kind of all wobbling about, and I didn't weld it particularly well. I didn't film it, didn't weld it particularly well, and also I didn't have it clamped up very well. And I think this is the key thing that I didn't do, and you saw that with the sort of sides separating. If I were doing this again, from that stage, I would really clamp it very tightly. I think if you clamp it tightly, you will do absolutely fine. So that's the big learning point. What I'm going to do, because I did try and sort of go over those leaks and just re-weld them, that doesn't really work. I'm actually going to chop that off. I'll probably use the router at 45 degrees, chop off as much as I can and redo that. But we will see that in the next one, and I don't know if the next one's going to be next month or not, because I am working very slowly at the moment, optimistically. And if you want details, go back to the video of last May 2019. I was hoping I could do about 45 minutes worth of work, sorry, 3 lots of 45 minutes work a day. It's turning out to be more like 1 if I'm lucky. So things are going slowly, but they're going in the right direction. So anyway, the other thing that's happened during this lockdown, on a serious note, Oh, talking about, come over here.
I thought you were talking to yourself.
No, I'm not talking to myself. Is it here?
I'm not camera ready.
I'm not camera ready, she said. Somebody's just wandered over as I was doing this. And I was saying, on a more serious note, a lot of people have been who've been doing DIY, there's been a lot of eye injuries. And although it wasn't directly because of the DIY, was it? A stick or something flew off into Lucy's eye.
It was basically a tree.
It was basically a tree. Remember, it's on video. They're going to see this in 1 second.
It's huge.
Well, actually, it was really big.
Well, it's in your eyeball.
Yeah, well, it wasn't in my eyeball. So anyway, we're going to finish on that. So you'll see Lucy dressed as a shark with a bit of stick in her eye. That was good timing. She literally just wandered over, presumably to make me a cup of tea. Is that what you wandered over for?
It was not.
Oh, okay. Anyway, look, see you next month. Right, Lucy had something in her eye. Let's see if can we pick up on it? I don't know if there used to be a cartoon called Pathetic Sharks, and it's what directly led Lucy to having her interest. So yeah, here we go. Goodbye from the pathetic shark. Yeah, you're crying. Okay, everybody, have a safe lockdown. That's it for this month. And oh gosh.
Get my teeth back.
You've lost all your credibility, there's no point in doing this. Right, there we are. So have a safe lockdown, do yourself well, and more next month. Yeah, so as I say, see you next month. I hope you're doing well. This is a tough time for a lot of people and a very, very tough time for some people. So not being able to get your boat sorted out is a real first world problem. And I'm luckier than most, I do realise that, so I hope you're doing as well as can be expected out there. Okay, see you next month.